Hey everyone. uh, I was trying out some new things with an intro because I like to play music, and we are not doing we're not doing a coffee with the skipper today. We're actually doing Veteran Nation Live. We haven't done one in a hot minute, but I do have a guest, and I'm looking right now. I see the guest is here, and w- w- with what this guest is going to be talking about, it's something very near and dear for me. We are starting off with a super chat.
I like money.
Thank you, Georgie, uh, for the hey you. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, you're going to see that animation where it's a pair giving the fist bump and saying hey you. Um, And I do want to thank Jim Baroque,
I like money.
who's been a member for 6 months. Thank you so much for supporting. And before we get to our guest, that's actually a good segue into what I wanted to talk about first and foremost. So, this is our merchandise page. And if you're a member of this channel, you get a discount on all of our merch. And I added some. Oh, thank you, Voss. We got another super chat. All right.
I like money.
And with that one, that means I have to turn off the I have to turn off the ads for today's show if you're watching on YouTube. So the ads, we've met our $10 goal. Ads will now be turned off. Let me uh back out here. Sorry. I'm producing and starring. It's always hard when I do both. There we go. There's the monetization button, and I'm going to set them for manual and now save. There we go. So ads are now turned off. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it, Paul. Uh, so now, if you send a super chat, um, it's just going to get put up on the screen. We've already hit the goal. And so this is some new merch that I have. We'll start off with this one here. Let me change. I don't know why it always goes default to the black, but this is this is an idea I came up with. Instead of finding Nemo, it's finding chemo. So if you have someone in your life who has a great sense of humor and maybe they're battling the big casino, Tony. Uh, if they're battling cancer, you can get them this one. These shirts are only $13.99. These funny shirts I'm making, and then here's the other one I did. Uh, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, and yeah, there's He-Man with all of his chains saying it's ma'am. So some funny merch that I did for us. Oh, thank you, Mismatch Menace. Man, getting all these super
I
chats
like
this
money.
morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do appreciate it. Good morning to you. And you know, I'm gonna go through and do my good mornings to everyone. So if you're watching on TikTok, I cannot see your messages. So I apologize if you're on TikTok, you're like, he's not responding to me. For some reason, TikTok does not integrate with Restream very well, but We are broadcasting there, so I thank you for watching. If you're watching on X, I just can't tell on here if you're watching. I can go into X and see, but I will see your comments if you leave any. So we have Mismatch here. We have Hellhound here. Good morning. Good morning. We got Bestie who's here. Good morning. Who else we got? Um, we got Jem Baroque who's here. Good morning. We got Darlene who's here. Good morning, Darlene. Thank you. I appreciate it. And where else? Uh, Mama Georgie is here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Who else we got? We got Teresa Greer who's here. Thank you. And good morning to you. All right, I think I got everyone. So I'm gonna bring our guest in. Normally our guest watches the show. But she approached me with this group that she runs called BILY, because I love you. And this is something that I really like. For those of you who, this is a support group for people who are experiencing divorce, custody issues, things like that. As you guys know, I went through a divorce. I went through a very bad custody battle. Uh, and what I'm thankful for is that I have PTSD, because that's what forced me into therapy. And then very early on, when I was in therapy, my goal was to be a better father and to not let anything that was happening affect my son as much as I could allow it to not affect him. And having those goals always kept me grounded, always kept me focused on what the things were I needed to. And wherever I struggled, I just kept focusing on that. But I did it all alone. So I'm going to bring Amanda in here. Welcome, Amanda Wheeler.
Hi, Mike. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. And this is an important thing.
Yes. So I guess we'll jump kind of right into it, I guess.
Sure.
Um, Billy has started off in the United States and has been around for well over a decade. We branched out into Canada over 10 years ago.
Okay.
And currently, we are the only running program in Canada. So we have in-person meetings if you're local to my area, Stony Plain, Alberta. And last year we launched Zoom meetings clear across Canada because parents need support. So not only do we help with communication, like you said, between parents that are separated and trying to put the child first, right, and or divorce, trauma with a death. We deal with all of that situations. We also deal with different crises in the home, drug addiction and trouble with the law, not going to school, mental health issues. There's not a lot of resources out there for parents when we're dealing with our children in the way of child and family services and those kind of things. And it's hard when you're feeling all alone and isolated. You're parenting out of guilt and out of trauma, and it's just could be a mess all the way around. So Billy provides a free space for parents or caregivers. It's non-judgmental, we're non-religious, and you're talking with parents that have been through the same situation or a similar situation that you're going through. So that's the basic breakdown to Billy.
I'm just going to interrupt you because we have Bestie who
I
paid for
like
some
money.
memberships. Thank you so much. And congratulations to Teresa Greer. Teresa, you now have a 20% Veteran Nation merchandise discount code. So if you want to buy any of our shirts or any of our merchandise, you now can use that. Sorry for interrupting.
Congratulations.
Sorry for interrupting with that quick plug.
No
I
worries.
you know, it I think things such as this really help keep things in perspective. Um, it's so easy, especially through a custody battle. It's very easy to lose sight of the children who are the ones who probably experience the most. Do
Mhm.
you do you find that to be true?
We do, right? And I think we all, as parents, know if there's, even parent couples that are together, children know our weak spot and they will play a parent against a parent. And so, especially during times of, trauma and dysfunction, like a divorce or separation or domestic violence situation, that child will go um, to try to play favors, right, at some point. And if you're having troubles with your child, saying, with a discipline issue or um, just not following proper rules of the house or things like that, you have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to speak differently to that child. And so what Billy does
Mhm.
is we work on the parent, right? It's all about the parent. We don't pretend to fix anybody's child. What we do is we support the parent in making changes in themselves, making sure that they are a priority, right, and that they are the ones that set the rules of the home. And then that's learning at that new communication skills, when to speak to your child, how to speak to your child, and changing the pattern that is not working, right? So
Mhm.
we always have to look at it too, that we are part of the problem
Yeah.
in our home. And so the only thing we can change is ourselves and what we condone, right?
And that's huge. That was, I had to focus on things about myself that I didn't like. After 15 years in the Marine Corps, I was like, okay, where am I broken? Because that's all I can control right now. And so that's what really jump started me on my PTSD journey. But I do want to say, for so many veterans out there who are dealing with all the different issues that veterans deal with, homelessness, joblessness, what you find, one of the biggest common factors, if not the biggest common factor, is divorce with custody issues. And
Mhm.
because it affects so much of our life. So, a group like this absolutely helps, even though you do beyond, divorce and the custody issues. I just look at that and I'm like, this is where I could definitely see if Billy or another group like it helping veterans. So I think it's incredibly important. And for any veterans watching this, either live or on replay, you're not alone with this stuff. You're not
Mhm.
alone. So many other people and veterans have gone through it. Find yourself a group like Billy. And I am going to put up a couple I wanna put up a couple different things. Is there anything you want me to put up of, the all the documents and everything that you sent me?
Well, I think our 10 steps to success is pretty important.
Okay.
Um, it's a guide that we mine used to be on the fridge. And it was something that I had to look at every single day to keep me focused on my path to change in communicating with my kids, right? And yeah, I think that that's pretty important. And then maybe our contact information, our email and phone number, and that would be terrific.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get the 10 steps up right now. I just had to find them.
Oh, perfect.
There we go. There we go. Okay,
Yeah,
so, let me get rid of I don't need that. So this is the Billy 10 steps to success. Number 1, I will be number 1. Number 2 is I will no longer feel guilty, which is actually a very big thing.
it
Guilty
is.
feelings, yeah, they can drag you down.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
and a lot of times we don't even realize we're parenting out of guilt, right? So
Very true, very true. And sometimes we're guilty about things we have no reason feeling guilty about.
that's
Uh,
right.
there are things sometimes that are just out of our control, and it's just a situation.
Hmm.
Uh, Number 3, I will not share in my child's crisis. Number 4, I will learn to let go. Number
Yep.
5, I will make the rules. Number 6, I will follow through. That's a big one.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Number 7, I will keep the lines of communication open. Number 8, I will always avail my family of resources and materials. Number 9, I will work towards a more realistic family life. And 10, I will become active in a parent support group.
That's correct.
So I think those are all very, very good steps that you have there.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of it just comes down to once we realize, we're somewhat of the issue, and we're taking those steps to say, you know what, as a parent, I am number one. I am valuable. I deserve respect in my home. I deserve to be treated fairly. And then realizing maybe how we are parenting. So, in my particular case, my first husband was an addict, and when he passed away, I parented my two children out of guilt, right?
Mhm,
And going forward, and so they were, over embellished, and we didn't have firm boundaries. We didn't have those things in place, and so when I realized, I was always the flopper, right? And started putting in boundaries to make sure that I was okay mentally, physically, and emotionally for my children. That changed a whole lot of dynamics just in my home.
mhm.
But yeah, you don't. If somebody had told me I was parenting out of guilt because of the loss that I felt, the loss that they had, and I took that on, right? And it wasn't me to take that on. Um, so until we realize those things, not making your child's crisis your crisis, that's putting definite, natural consequences to things that are happening. And we always want our children to succeed. We always want them to excel. We want them always to do better or have better than we ever had growing up. And so, not really facing the realities sometimes that our children are kind of going off the rails. We know it, but we just don't want anybody else to know it. So we're going to make the excuses and pad those corners for them and not let them suffer those natural consequences, whatever they may be,
Mhm.
right? And learning to let go falls into that too, right? It's kind of sad when you have to see your child, in that train wreck, but you've got to kind of watch it go, right?
Oh,
And then, yeah,
trust me. There are times where it's like, I I I can see this, how bad this is going, but it's out of my control. I can't do anything about what's happening over there. I can only make sure that this area right here is the safe space and the place to come back to.
that's exactly it. And if you don't start with it like step number one, then you're not healthy mentally, physically, emotionally to be there for our kids when they
Yeah.
actually need us, right? Not want us to bail them out, not want to use our resources, or but when they actually need us, if we don't take care of ourselves, then we're not going to be in a good space for them, right? Because that's all change. That's all part of change.
Sharon says listening to the child, actually listening, and I think you both are like hitting on the same thing. For me, it was just remembering that my child is a person and earns respect. And as long as I respect him and I demand respect of myself, we will have a very healthy relationship. And I think a lot of parents, even in families, I think lose sight of that. Like your kids, yeah, you are in charge, but you do need to respect them. And for me, I would, with every decision I made, I would think of my son and I would be like, how would this affect him? Didn't determine what I decided, but
Hmm.
at least I thought of that and was like, okay, here's what will come of this on his end. So that's how I manage that. But I just kind of see it as respect and building a respectful household. I think a lot of people in today's society. especially for us Gen Xers, we were not raised, many of us, in a respectful household. It was, "You'll do as I say, not as I do." It was, "Get the hell out of the house." So we were kind of the feral children, generation. Um, but,
Yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely, right, dude. And we don't parent like that anymore. And we don't have the resources to parent like that. And unfortunately, like, you think a lot of times, I know, like, I'm not sure what it's like in the United States, but I do know here in Canada, our children have free will, right? So to
mhm,
speak. So and we're dealing with parents that are coming in with children, from the ages of 12, 15, like well under the age limit. Plus, we deal with children that are old, like considered young adults, right? In their 20s and sometimes even adults, older. But with free will, I mean, if they don't choose to go to school, you can't make them. If they don't choose to come home, our law of- law of people, RCMP, um, they can check on them, but they can't make them stay home with you, right? We can't
yeah,
make them take their meds or go to their appointments, or because they have free will. And so then it is how to communicate, right? And when you actually, to say, like, you really need to listen to your children.
mhm,
Absolutely, we do. But how do you start that communication again when it's kind of been lost, right? That's the key, is how to listen and how to communicate. And sometimes we have to relearn that, because we have our
yeah,
kids in different situations. We're not the only influence in our child's life. And speaking directly for me, um my daughter, uh she fell into drugs, she fell into a bad way. I couldn't communicate with that little child that walked out of my door. She wasn't that girl anymore. I
yeah,
had to learn to communicate with a young woman that had seen trauma, and was on a self destruct course. And how do we get back to where I can actually listen to her? What were her needs? What was her struggles? What did she need from me and the family? And until I could learn how to communicate with that, we couldn't make a go of it. I couldn't listen to her if I didn't know how.
mhm.
So that's a big part of Billy, is learning how to speak, how to talk to your kids without being accusatory. It's your fault, you did this. We've got to change that language, and until we do, we can't
Well,
listen nor can we communicate.
and especially, when you talk about substance abuse can completely change a person's personality. They could be
Absolutely.
the nicest, greatest person when they're sober, but the moment they're not, they can be the meanest person. They can be the most self-centered person. And I think that's important for people to know because for me, I had friends with substance abuse, and I had to come to terms with that when they were struggling. Was this is not the person that I've known, for so long. This is someone else. This is a different version of them, and it was hard for me to not be resentful. Um,
Hmm.
but once I did get to that point where I was like, "Oh, this is not them. This is that other, personality." Then it was when they finally did get sober, it was, "Okay, yeah, I'm ready to have my friend back."
Right. No. And that is so true. And a lot of people, unless you've lived it and you've been around it, like, to see somebody or know somebody that is on drugs, like like in active addiction, do you really know what that personality change is like? And for a lot of our parents, it comes off as a mental health issue.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, addiction mimics some mental health. And until you can determine what that is, then we're medicating our kids for a mental health issue. They're using substances, and so it's very contradictive. And right, and so that's the communication part, and that really setting healthy boundaries around ourselves to kind of get to the root of the problem, right?
Mhm.
So it's a hard road for parents to walk. Personally speaking, for myself, I wouldn't be in the situation I am, and I've rebuilt those communications and those bonds with all of my children, because while I was, focused on one child, I had another child that was at home and safe. And so, in terms they kind of got neglected from my attention, my, what's going on in your world today. I was so
Mhm.
wrapped up. So in focusing on one, we were having damage done to the other and their trauma from seeing what was happening with their sibling. And that's the piece. I as soon as we can start putting ourselves first, recognizing things that we can change, it really takes an effect throughout the whole family, right?
Mhm.
And that follow through part, like you said, Mike, that's so important. You can't ever put out there, which as parents we do. I think I've grounded my child until she was 99, right? It's not feasible, right? You can't be putting out things that we can't back up, right? And that
Mhm.
goes to our credibility as a parent. And it sets that example that if I'm going to respect myself and I'm going to respect my boundaries and I'm going to take care of me and value, I'm showing my child what that looks like, what a good, healthy self care looks like. So it balances itself out.
Absolutely, because your kids are they're gonna thrive when you are the best version of yourself, and
Yes.
with me, um, I can say that my ex is a very good mother, just a horrible co-parent. Uh,
Mhm.
but I learned to navigate within those waters. Like, and I actually had a discussion with my therapist, and I was like, I was getting very angry at the things that were happening. And I was like, this is going to affect our son. And I'm very angry that these things are happening when she should know this. And, my therapist put things in perspective and was like, well, how does your son react to it? And I go, he's very resilient. And kids are, they can, kids can withstand a lot. A lot of people will say that, but I don't use that as an excuse at all. Uh, but I was like, he's doing very well with it, and she was like, "Well, you should be thankful because he's learning how to deal with difficult personalities at a young age. So when he gets into his adult life, he will know how to navigate people who are this difficult, and he'll already have those coping mechanisms." Whereas, my parents, are still together. I didn't have a lot of these issues that he was experiencing. And she was like, see, you didn't know how to spot an individual who with these character traits. You didn't know how to react with an individual. He's going to know that. And I was like, okay. So then I had a little bit better of a perspective that, maybe I should be a little bit thankful, even with the situation.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is you can't control what your ex-partner does in their home, right? And their interactions with your child and, people that they're bringing around your child.
Mhm.
That's their domain to control. And I mean, unless there's harm, right? Ultimate harm, threat to life or things like that that we all have to hear something, see something, say something, right? You need to control your space, your boundaries, and then have clear communication with your son that this is how it is here at our place. I'm open to always
Yep.
hear from you, right? Like always open communication. If you're at mom's and you really do need to speak to me, that communication's always open, right? But these are the rules we're going to follow here. These are my boundaries. They may change when you go to mom's. You may not have a curfew. You may not have to give up the cell phone, right? You may not have to go to school when you're at mom's, but here we have to do this and this is why, right? And so that's really pointing out and showing our children too that there is diversity, parents and
Yeah.
like the grass is not always greener on the other side. Like we have a lot of kids that will want to stay at their friend's house because they don't have as tough rules. They don't need to take the trash out over there, but the the thing is, it's not always, that's we can only control what's in our sphere to do so and communicate clearly and follow through on our path, what we can control.
Very early on, I had to have a conversation with my son, of here in this house, I don't want I don't expect you to be perfect. I do expect you to try and give a good effort, and that's
Yeah.
it. And if you do that, I'll be proud of you. And I've also, in this household, you do have a say. It's not the final say, but you do have a voice. And if you don't like something, you can bring it up and
Yes.
we can have a discussion about it. Um,
Yes.
so whereas
Yeah.
with like
And
with his mom, she only an hour of playing video games. Here, I was, hey, if you have straight A's, play video games. If that's what's going to be your motivation to be good in school, do it. And
yeah.
so that was the difference.
Yeah. And you know what? And they learn, they adapt so well, right? And we have a lot of kids that are say couch surfing and not being at home. And that's a scary
Yeah.
thought for a parent. I don't know where my kid is. I don't know what they're doing. But you know what? We've all taught our children right from wrong.
Yeah.
And they can be very resilient and get their Mets need away from us. And that's that part of letting go a little bit is realizing we're not the only influence in our child's life. And if we're not there to give this or give that or pad this corner or rescue, right, they're going to be resilient. They're going to have to figure this out. And yeah, we do have to take, even through chaos, you can take a pat on the back, because you know what, we've given our kids these skills. They're just using them in a way that we don't always appreciate or would like to see them put that effort in, right?
Mhm.
But we've given them these skills. We've created amazing young people. And we just have to figure a way to coexist again and bring them back into the rules and the boundaries of our home. And
Mhm.
you know what, if they grow up and they have their own home, they may not have the same values or have the same rules that they grew up with, and that's okay. But they have to be an adult and in their own space and in a good space to make those rules for themselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I look back at my parents. My parents, I think, made mistakes. I made mistakes. They
Yeah.
didn't define us. What
No.
what what defines you are the things that you do well, more than anything else. And I think we lose sight of that many times.
Yeah.
Um, and that's I'm looking right now. Here, I'll bring it up. I'm looking right now at the do's and don'ts of or do's and don'ts for parents.
Hmm.
So yeah, here, let me get rid of that. So do's for parents: do learn the facts about drugs, alcohol, and delinquent behavior. Do talk to someone who understands behavioral and delinquent problems and drug dependency. Do attend family and parent support meetings. Do set a reasonable and flexible limits and controls that you are comfortable with, appropriate to the age and maturity of the individual.
Yes.
Do let do let the individual suffer the consequences of their actions. That can be a tough one,
Oh,
except
absolutely.
except when a life may be in danger. Do continue to love the individual, even though you may not like their present actions, behavior, attitude, or appearance. Do voice your objections to undesirable behavior. Uh, These are a little bit long, so I'll read a couple more.
Hmm.
Uh, do voice your objections to undesirable behavior without attacking the person. Do allow yourself the dignity and privilege of being a self respecting individual with honest feelings, emotions, and needs. Do maintain a healthy emotional atmosphere in your home. So, yeah, I want to get through those there because I think those are some really good ones.
And a lot of times we have parents that when they come to us, they're past this. These steps have kind of gotten lost along the way, right?
Mhm.
And so it's recognizing that we need to get back to that, right? We need to take care of ourselves, right? It's our home, it's our space, and we're the only ones that can set those boundaries and limits. And self-care. And I mean, those are a lot of buzzwords, but if you don't actually know what self-care is, if you don't actually know what a boundary is or a limitation is, and how do you impose one of those then, right? So yeah, we got to have those discussions.
And, I'm not trying to bring everything back to me. I'm just gonna talk from my example, because with these things, I was going through my PTS journey at the same time, and I was constantly anxious and on edge, and I was always like a 9 or a 10,
Mhm.
and I had to learn calming things, and I've talked about on the show, spray paint art videos were the things I found that it was like, they calmed me right down, which is so stupid, but still to this day, if I'm feeling anxious, I'll just watch a couple of those, and then I feel a lot better,
Yeah,
and it's those little things out there, but when you're seeking those, you're trying to make yourself a better individual
right.
and getting in control of your emotions. It Trust me, I understand. Sometimes
Yeah,
we want to be react, especially when we're already angry, but you don't want to take other baggage out on your children, and you never want to discipline your children when you're at an amped up level. You want to,
that's right.
calm yourself
And
down.
that cortisol level, right, in parents that are struggling, we get used to it being up there, right? And same with some of our kids that actually have ADHD, right? They kind of thrive off that chaos, right? It gives them the
Yeah.
endorphins that they need. And there's just so many elements. And then mindfulness during the day, right? We can do that at any time, but if unless you really know how to do it, or how to take that, like mindfulness doing your dishes, you can even take that time to relax and do that. But until someone shows you or tells you how to actually do that, right, it's
Yeah.
not it's just a buzzword. And so that's the really good thing about Billy is, you're with parents, you're getting the feedback from other parents and what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, what they do, to self-care, bring back relationships, introduce new relationships to your child. If
Mhm.
you're, if you've had a death, if a parent has passed, or a separation, and you want to introduce a new partner, a new friend to this relationship, how do we do that? And so that's where it's good to be in that safe space, um to hear and get feedback from the rest of the group.
Mhm. And you may have seen, because you watched the show, you may have seen the video of me being attacked by my ex-wife's partner. And but here's the good thing about that. Way before that situation occurred, I had a discussion with my son, and I said, "Look, he doesn't like me. That's okay. Sometimes we don't like people, but I will never create conflict with him. I will always try to be the one to disengage, move along." And, I really did live that. In that situation, though, I was not given an opportunity to disengage. I was attacked from behind. And I had to react. But, uh, you know, then in everything that followed, I was still able to look at my son and say, "You saw it for yourself. I Men end conflict. I did not create that conflict. I never want to create conflict. And
Right.
this is a bad example that you can learn from of and that's the thing. Kids
Mhm.
will learn not just from you. They will learn from other people. And by having those discussions and communication, that open communication of, "Hey, sometimes you're not going to like people." Um, you know, if
Yeah.
you if they leave me, like I told, he leaves me alone, we're not going to have any problems. But I'm not going to go to him to try to instigate anything. And that's what what they were trying to paint me as. And it's very funny because it never worked out for them in any sense. Because when push came to shove, my son actually got a chance to speak to the court, and, you know, he's got a good, like I said, his mom's a good mom. He's got
Yeah,
a good relationship with her. And he said, "Yeah, I've got a good relationship with her." But then when it was time, "Well, what's your relationship with your dad?" "Oh, me and my dad, we do this. Me and my dad, these are the things that we like." And it was like a whole, like, several paragraphs of things. So I was like, "Okay, I have done my job being the good example." And that
yeah.
was, I couldn't control anything else, but I could control that.
Yes, right, and that's the thing, and, we have to remember too that we're not the, only influence in our kids,
Yeah,
and having them see and not even personal issues, that event could have happened, he could have been at his friend's house and
yeah,
watched,
yep,
that happen, um, and it's just a realization that, these things do happen, and, sometimes we make bad choices doesn't make us bad people, and we have it's how we grow and
yeah,
move on from that, and I'm sure he's still a safe space for your son, just under different circumstances, right? That may not have been the ideal moment
yeah,
to be around a child or show a child that that's how we want to express ourselves, but I'm sure that's still a safe space, and that their communication is what needs to work on, right? Just like you had
mhm,
to work on that communication, that has to be rebuilt on their end, and that's where you know you don't know whether it's going to. You don't know if that's happened. You don't know if your son's comfortable with that result. All you can do is be that supportive, have that boundary in place for yourself, and that's well communicated to know if over here you didn't like this or you don't understand this, come here, we can communicate on it, we can work on it,
yeah,
this right, and that's so important that kids know, because we're not the only influence in their life, and what they see and desensitized to and what's become normalized is just it packs on a lot of trauma.
yeah. For me, I very early on, I very much wanted to normalize in my household 2 things: saying "I love you" and saying "I'm proud of you." But with saying I'm proud of you also comes with, "Here's what I expect of you."
Yes.
Um, so it doesn't come without without those, boundaries and, standards.
Right.
So, uh
And that's a perfect word too, right? Expectations.
mhm,
And we do talk about that a lot in Billy. And how do we expect our kids to know unless those expectations are very clear for them what we expect, right? So we do a lot of take out the gray, it's got to be black and white, right? And
yeah,
like the basic real thing is the simplest analogy is take the garbage out, right? Well, you didn't say what day to take it out, you didn't say what time to take it out, you didn't what garbage, the one in the kitchen, the one in
yeah,
the bathroom, right? So you take out all the grays and you make it as simple as possible. The kitchen garbage goes out on Thursday before 7 o'clock, right? Like, so they know what they have to attain, and if they can't attain it, then that's when we go back and say, okay, so these steps didn't work. You didn't make it by 7 o'clock, right? So what did we do to fix this? Right?
maybe I'm spoiled because having been a Marine officer, that was one thing that very early on in my career, an order without, uh, without an ability to inspect it is not an order. Like you said, this needs to be done by then.
Yeah.
And, then you can inspect that it actually got done. But if you leave it open-ended, yeah, don't inspect what you expect is what we used to say. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't have that, it's not gonna happen. You're just kinda hoping and guessing.
That's right. That's right. And we have a lot of families too that their kids are very visual learners, right?
Mhm.
And you end up having to put little sticky notes or little rules or little things like everywhere, right? In the house so that it's that visual reminder of, okay, I get up, I do
Mm.
this, I do this, I do this, right? And that just kind of helps them build that pattern of this is what it's expected. I know in our case, I that was big for my son, He had some mental health issues, ADHD, some anxiety, some depression. So it was, this few chores were, but some days were a real struggle for him to even want to get out of bed. So it maybe wasn't, like he had all day to do something, like empty the dishwasher. But there was like the expectation was you have from 8 o'clock until I come home, and then
Yeah.
help me with dinner. But I need the kitchen done, like I need to cook something, right? So you have all day so he could prepare and putter, right? Because that's where he was with his mental health at that time, right? And unless we had communication, we didn't we didn't know, right? I wouldn't know. I would be
Yeah.
expecting him to do something that he clearly couldn't achieve and not knowing where he was, right?
I I don't think that's just for kids. I think that's for, any relationship because you look at a lot of marriages, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
I I do
Yeah.
wanna say this. I think this group is really important for another reason that we haven't talked about. And, a support group like this is really good because the family is getting attacked in today's society. It is so hard. It's so much harder today for families than I think it ever was. It's just from all angles. People are just trying to break down the family, trying to tell families that they don't know how to raise children, they don't know how to interact. So I think a group like this really will help with that and let people know, hey, it's not just you versus the world. It is, but you have allies.
Yes. Yeah, and you know what? That becomes so important to parents, and that's where we see a lot of families that finally do find Billy. They're at that last resort, right? Like they've talked to all their friends and alienated them. They've talked to their families and alienated them, right? And you're now all alone, right? And
Yeah.
in my case too, like the my kids went to school. I had other parent friends. I had play school friends. And that circle slowly started getting smaller and smaller and smaller until I didn't want to engage with them anymore because they had you know they were doing things and I was still talking about the same stuff. My kids weren't achieving the same things, my family wasn't achieving the same things, and they didn't want to hear my kid didn't come home, all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And so that is the key, is to say you're not alone. And I think that's why I've kept this Billy chapter going for so long, is because I
Mhm.
remember that feeling of being totally isolated, feeling totally alone, going to services and having them go, I can't
Yeah.
help you. Right? You're in the wrong building. Go over here. Like, we don't have any programs in place that will support you. And so, when I found Billy, the joke back then was I was a big crier. I cried a lot because that became my safe space, right? What
Mhm.
did you do for yourself this week? I made it to this meeting this week. And that's all I could do for my own self-care. Was I came here to
Yeah.
cry with all of you because you know exactly the emotion that I'm going through. And it's true too. We do have an outside uh, that's more, the family isn't the unit it used to be. We've got a lot more
Mhm.
influences coming into our family,
Yeah.
and I don't want to say it's a tough love program. It's to some does look like that. Setting boundaries is tough love, but it's more of a stop and let's put things where they need to be. Right? If it's my
Yeah.
crisis, it's my crisis. If it's your crisis, it's your crisis. Now I can walk with you and I can support you, but I'm certainly not going to take your crisis on as my own, where I'm going to be sick and I'm going to lose work and I'm not going to be able to sleep, right? Those are things that you need to take care of. And I can support you in the ways that I can support you. and it's it's very much different in an element now that we do live in, where the family just doesn't have control. Like, your 12-year-old can go, I don't want to be at home, you can't make me go to
Right.
school. As a parent, you're going, well, what? Like, and it's like, if I had said some of these things to my parents that I hear, yeah, my life would be a whole lot different.
But
So,
that's true, and then we've even got government, I talk a lot about different things on this show of, court cases, and we just had one last week where a school system was telling parents, "No, we know better than your children," and, thankfully, the Ninth Circuit stepped in and said, "Yeah, no, that's crazy,"
yeah.
um, but yeah, that happens. And it, yeah, it's it,
No, it is different. It's a very different element than what we grew up with, right? And we do have to, as parents, we have to grow and develop too. But the bottom line is, in our home, right? It's respect. And when you have a
yeah,
lack of respect and there's no accountability for our kids and young adults anywhere else, right, that's the only thing we have left, is how are we going to be treated, how are we going to let our homes be treated, right, and what privileges are we going to allow someone that isn't
mhm.
respecting our personal and our and what we provide, right? And so, yeah, we've just got to, take a step back, work on ourselves, and then work on the situation around us, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's, yeah, I think a lot of people, I know that there are some people out there who don't, especially veterans, who don't wanna go to groups like this, but I think just going, and even if you don't participate, just going and sitting and listening to others who've been there,
Yeah.
I think that will open you up to trying something different.
Yeah.
And like I've said many times, if it's stupid, but it works, it's not stupid.
No, no, it's that communication, right? So even
Mhm,
veterans or grandparents, we have some addicts that have rehabilitated that want to reconnect with their kids. So the Billy program, fundamentally, those 10 steps work, right? Instead of um, trying to do this with your kids, you look at it as an adult and you turn it around. And how do you rebuild with your child if you're the one that was that they couldn't trust, if you were the one that was in active addiction, right? If and how do you do that? And we've been very successful. We've
mhm,
helped hundreds and thousands of families over the years, between the programs that are running, and it works. Like, if you put the time into the program will work. And not every situation is going to be carbon copy to somebody else's, but those
mhm.
basics, that fundamental of respect, self-care, communication, and it's bottom line. It's like you can put that into any situation and it works. But until you learn how to put all these pieces together, you're still just grabbing, right? You're just always grabbing, and as a parent, it gets so exhausting.
Now, let's say I'm a parent and I'm experiencing a crisis, and I wanna reach out to Billy, but there's not one in my area. Are there options?
Yes, absolutely. So here, like, in the United States, there are some programs. There's more Billy programs there. But for us here in Canada, if you're not local to where I am, we have our Zoom link that runs every Monday night. And so all you need to do is send me an email, a little synopsis of what is bringing you to Billy, and I will provide you with the link and the passcode to get into our Zoom meetings. These are closed Zoom meetings. We're not just putting the code out online for everyone, because this is this is sensitive space. This is your safe space. These are sensitive topics. And so we need you to reach out to us to our email, and that's billytryregion@gmail.com. And then we can let you into our meeting and we can go from there. And that's on every Monday night. Now, my hope for this Billy program in Canada, and with you helping bring awareness to the program, is that we're going to have chapters that want to open up in different locations across Canada, and we can help facilitate that. And Dennis Poncher, he's the founder of Billy in the United States, right? He's That's where we would get all of our resources from and our guidance from. The man is I don't know where I'd be if he hadn't have started this program. And so yeah, I would more availability of the Billy program across Canada, and that's just bringing awareness to the program, getting people through the program, and starting their own chapters.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that up on the screen there. So there you go. There's the email there. Um, I hope I have it
Oh,
correctly.
so BILYTRI
Oh, oh,
GIO.
I
Oh,
see.
you
I
forgot the
see.
N.
Yep, I
Try
misspelled
region.
region. There we go.
There you go.
So, and and here's the thing: if anyone watching, if you think this might be able to help you, and you don't, you're hesitant to go. If you want me to do a Zoom meeting with you, go into a Zoom meeting, I'm happy to do it because I believe in stuff like this so much. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, whatever it's going to take to get you there.
Yeah, whatever support is necessary. And I do that on a plus here with our parents too. If we've supported going to AA meetings, I've gone to meetings with family and child services, I've gone to school meetings. If that's a way to support somebody to come in and at least check it out, because that first step is the hardest first step. Walking through those doors is the hardest step to make, right? And so, yeah, if that's what it takes to have someone come in, feel that they can be comfortable here, Mike, we'd love to have you drop in on a Zoom call
Sure,
for
sure. I'm happy
sure,
to.
right?
I'm happy
Yeah.
to.
And that's part of the reason why I reached out to you to say, "Hey, would you help me bring awareness to this?" Is because I do watch your show. I have watched it for a year or more now, and I like the fact that you're in service. You do give back to the community, and thank you for your service, by the way, and all the other vets that you do help. Thank you so much for your
Thank you
service
for being
there.
worth serving.
Yes. And, just listening to you speak about, you do have some air of, self-care. You do have some recognition of what boundaries are and what limitations are and what a healthy relationship can look forward to. And so that's why I felt safe in saying, "Hey, Mike, I'm running this here. Can you help me out?" Right. And it was about a year ago I just started on social media, just trying to bring awareness and trying. And you and Georgie actually were talking about, okay, that use this platform for this and and I'm diligently trying to follow along on the computer. So I kind of felt like, oh my gosh, they know what I'm going through. So I do really appreciate you, taking the time to listen to me and look at the program, and think that it was worth you bringing on your platform to say, let's look at this, right?
I have already pushed out the brochure onto my Facebook. It's in our Veteran Nation group. It's also in the ecosystem. But I do want to get these other uh, uh, products that you gave me, the do's and don'ts, the 10 steps. I do want to get those out there for people so they can start exploring them themselves.
Oh, thank you
But yeah,
so much.
I'm
Thank you.
I think this is a great thing. I can see where had I had something like this locally, I would have benefited from it. I didn't, but I did get the same type of information because through my PTSD, and that's for all the veterans struggling. It does get better if you do the work, and that's true of parents as well.
Yes.
If you're dealing with these type of crises, uh, you can improve the situation. It's going to take some effort.
Yes, right? Like we say that at the, when you come into the Billy, is these didn't create overnight. These issues weren't overnight. They're not going to fix themselves overnight, right? So we at least it like the oh, thanks, Mickey. So we at least would like you to give the program a chance, right? Attend for 6 weeks, and really put in the work, right? Like do the homework sheet that's given to you that we give out at the beginning of group, right? What's a privilege? What do you do? What behaviors do you get back for everything you provide, right? And put the 10 steps up where you can see them and they're in your face. Make 100 copies because I know kids will just take them down. They don't like seeing it, right?
Mhm.
And, we deal with families too. We've had wonderful families in our program that had adult children that addiction and mental health were an issue. And so, they're now seniors. Their children are now 30, 40 years old, but still in this pattern of, always filling in crises, always patting those corners, being taken advantage of by their adult children that's struggling. And so
Yeah.
there's no age restriction here at all. There's no nothing. If you're a sibling taking care of a sibling, um come come, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the support is there for everybody that needs it.
For every veteran watching, every single veteran, and I know there's several of you watching, you know someone who could benefit from this without a doubt. If it's not you, it's another veteran or someone in your life. I know that for a fact. There is not one veteran I've ever interacted with who's like, oh no, everything's perfect in my life. BS. I know you all know someone who can be helped by this, if not yourself,
Yeah.
and have some self-realization as well, and just maybe be like, "Hey, maybe I could just improve,"
Yeah.
and I know all the veterans out there, one of the leadership, traits was to know thyself and seek self-improvement, so there you go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're only as good as we aspire to be. Our children only perform, and thrive when they aspire things greater. And if we're not in a position to inspire, to say, be that reflective of, I'm going to take care of me. I deserve respect. I deserve to be happy. I deserve a life of peace. If we can't set that example for our child, what are they where are they going to get their aspirations from, right?
Right? And
So,
and for me, you all know if you've been watching me for a while, you know I've got my red flags, I've got my issues, but I own them and I try to reflect on them here to comedic effect as much as possible.
right? We do through all the crises we do talk about at Billy. We laugh a lot. We have to laugh, or
Oh yeah,
so we do end up laughing a lot, and it is really kind of ironic that once you're for feeling alone and isolated, and once you're in that room and you're sitting with parents that are describing things that yourself have been at a loss for, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not alone. And how, sometimes it's the silliest thing. It sounds so ironic, or just like, "Ah, really? Like that's it's the smallest thing, but it's been the biggest hurdle in my world." And it's just amazing that we can grow and learn and connect with each other, and just bring a smile back to a parent. There's nothing better than when a mom comes walking in the door and they walk in and they're in tears, right? It's taken everything they have to get to that program, and they walk in and they're in tears, and by the end of the 2-hour meeting, right, their shoulders have come down. They've actually stopped crying. They're smiling, and it's just kind of like, and they're literally exhausted. They could go home and sleep for a month, because they've just been allowed to be in a safe space and they've just let it out, and they're not being attacked, they're not being persecuted, they're not, they're around people that have gone through the same thing. So instead of horror and shock on our faces, we're all going, uh-huh, yeah, yep, and then uh-huh, yep. Right. So it's a good program. It's a good program.
And Georgie, as I've talked about, people don't get upset with me for the things I do. They get upset with me for the expectations that they have set upon me that they want me to do. And if people haven't figured it out, I, I'm uncontrollable. I am chaos. Uh, but yeah, like, a- and children don't have those expectations. That's why children are way more accepting of boundaries. But it's good to get them in the habit. I look back now and I'm like, wow, what my parents actually did kind of teach me some boundaries. With because I've got crazy family members that I don't talk with, and it's okay. I can love people from a distance. They don't have to be in my day-to-day life, and, I don't need to inject that chaos.
No.
But I can recognize that it's a boundary and where I kinda got my love of boundaries way back when.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of boundaries.
No, no. And, like, learn how to set good ones that can be achieved and attainable. Right. And not everything has to be a boundary. Maybe you can live with a limitation, right?
Yeah,
And not
yeah,
every issue is going to be the hill you're going to die on. Right. Like, maybe that's, you step over the shoes to get into the house instead of freaking out that nobody put their shoes away and it's a mine. Maybe you step over them and have that conversation with your kid. What's the limit? What's the boundary? And what's the follow through for both, right? If it's and you got to come to the group and learn what those
yeah.
things really are. And once we can navigate those systems, once we're in a good place, and then we're showing, we're leading by example.
Mhm.
And the pushback from anybody, if you put a boundary in and you're put it in properly, you're going to get pushback, because nobody likes being told no, or nobody likes, that they can't manipulate or disrespect you in a way that they were previously allowed to do. So it is, it's living through that as well, and preparing parents to say, okay, you think it's bad right now, follow these rules, listen to us, put these boundaries in. It's going to get a little worse, but stick with us, because we know once you come out the end, you come out the end, right? And
Right?
I mean, I can only speak for myself. Um, right? Like I said it earlier, I was a flip flopper mom, so I would throw out all of these demands and threats to my child. Right? Like, you're grounded. If you don't come home, I'm not coming to get you. Don't call me. I'm not. And then I would just, oh, you need me? I'm coming, right? Oh, you're giving me the silent treatment? I'll give you what you want. Just talk to me, right? Like, so I
You know
flip-flopped and flip-flopped, but when I hit Billy and I finally said, "You know what? I'm not coming to get you. You need to go to treatment. I'm not coming to get you." We did,
yeah.
threats of suicide. We did, I'm stranded. I'm in and I would literally have to sit on the phone and go, I will come get you if I'm driving you to treatment. If you're not going to treatment, I cannot help you. Right.
Yep.
And of course, that didn't happen. But I had to go through, I probably added, I'm going to say, a year onto this dysfunction with my daughter, because she was so expecting me to flop, right? And it took her all this time to realize mom means what she says now, right? If she says she's not coming, she's not coming. She's not going to get me a new phone. She's not going to, come pick me up 3 hours away from town, because I thought it was a good idea at the time, right? Like, if I said something, I had to mean it and follow through. So I really had to be careful what I put out there to what I could back up. And it was hard. It was very hard saying no to my child, and I would hang up the phone and I would cry and cry and cry. And it was like we had to go through this process together. And she did go to treatment. Several of her friends got into treatment. Her boyfriend at the time got into treatment. Now some have stayed clean, some have relapsed. It is
Mhm.
the nature of the beast, unfortunately. And I'm glad I'm in a spot with my children that we're in. I can't, they're adults now. I do have a 12-year-old at home, but my other two are adults, and I can't control what they do outside of my home. That's their
Yep.
choices to make. The only
Yep.
thing I can control is when they come home and visit, or they're staying, that these are the rules of this home, right? And if you want to go do something different, you need your own space to do that.
And it's not just true of substance abuse. I've had veterans that people who watch this show, hey, I've got this veteran. They need help. I'm like, okay, I will help them, but I also set my boundaries. I'm like, I can't do it for them. I can offer advice. I can tell them what I know works, what I know doesn't work. And I'm from there, they have to be the one to get the ball rolling. And yeah, some of these people just want people to do it for them,
Yes.
uh, and then they get mad at me and say, "You didn't help them." "Oh, I helped them. They
Yeah.
just didn't take the help."
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't fix I'm not a wizard. I'm
No.
not a wizard, Harry. Uh, I
And
I can't fix
that's
people's problems.
exactly
I can
right.
show them where the answers are
Yeah.
and give them advice on how to get there.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it and I've had veterans walk away pissed off at me. 2 years later, they come back, "Hey, were you still willing to help me?" "Yeah, I'm still willing to help you. I'll give you the same
Absolutely.
advice.
Yeah.
I will
And
be there
the same
alongside
with
you as you do
Billy.
it."
Yeah, the same thing, right? We'll walk beside you anytime you
Yeah.
need it. But yeah, I mean, we've had parents, come in that want an instant fix. They want an instant answer, and it doesn't work. And they're not willing to put in the work and like put up the 10 steps.
Mhm.
You have a beautiful home. I'm really sorry that your child is a visual, and you now have sticky notes everywhere, right? If you don't want to put in the work, we can't do this for you. And we have parents come back and go, well, it didn't work the first time. Well, you only showed up for
Yeah.
3 meetings, right? We can't fix you overnight. Like, you've got to put in the work. We're just there for the support, the guidance,
Yeah.
right? And the learning, which is, it's a learning tool. And if you don't take that, and you don't want to participate in that, then but we will always be there, right? And that's what's so important about this program being the only one that runs in Canada. Um, I just couldn't fathom a parent being alone and not having this resource. So, like I say that all the time, nobody has to walk this path alone. I am here. The door is open. And you now have a 24-hour support system. If you need to text me, if you need to call me, if you need me to come with you
Yeah.
for a meeting, an appointment, you have that. And use it. Because when I found Billy, I wasn't there. And then we had some great facilitators when I was a parent in crisis. And it really is like, how do you say thank you to somebody that has literally changed your life? And for me, it
Right.
was one analogy. For me, it was, your daughter is on an island, and you are now on this island with her, and the whole world is going around without you. And but you're so wrapped up with her chaos, her crisis, and you're the only one on this island. Your husband, your job, your other children, your friends, they're all
Yeah.
going around. um do you want to get off this island? And I was like, heck yeah, I want off the island, right?
I have a
So
friend here who was in a very abusive familial situation and asked me for help. I helped where I could. But I did tell her, I was like, "This is an abusive situation, and you keep getting sucked like, you're a very smart person, and you're very good at what you do, but as long as you keep getting sucked back into this, you're never gonna go ahead, and the moment you break free of this, you're gonna be like, all the things that seem hard are gonna seem easy." And, yeah, about a week ago, she was like, "You told me this thing about chaos, that there are people who are so used to chaos, they can never sit and just quiet, and if they do that, they they can't function." And she's like, "That is absolutely true." And she's like, I broke free of the chaos, and now I'm just like, what do I do?" And I'm like, I've been there. I understand it. You gotta, and that's, I was like, channel it into these things that are gonna be a much more healthy way for you of dealing things. So,
Yes.
um, you know, she's like, I wish someone would have told me that earlier." I'm like, "Oh, some we learn everything in our time."
Yes. Yeah, we do. We do. And I mean, we have to also respect the fact that as parents, and with our cortisone levels being as high as they are, living in this chaos and this
Yeah,
stress, that we are actually suffering some PTSD, right?
yeah.
Over some of this trauma. I know with myself, sometimes I'll see my daughter's number come up on the phone, and I literally will go, because I don't know if I'm gonna get the, "Hey, mom, what are you doing?" or if I'm gonna get the crying daughter on the end of the phone, or the screaming, hysterical daughter on the end of the phone. And, that's trauma because of
Yeah.
all these years of, it's been so rocky. And, yeah, we've gotta realize that too. So it's like, that the name, I changed the name on my phone. So now she's just my peanut, right? Because it's it's like, but
It's
it
funny
made
the
me
things that'll cause emotion,
right, and it
looking at your phone can cause
softens, yeah,
emotion.
it just softens it down, right? So, maybe you need to change it to an orchid, a lily, my beautiful star, something to just
Mm,
take that, right?
do you watch the show, Landman?
Yeah, oh, yes, I loved it.
Whenever his ex-wife calls and he's got the ringtone of "dun, dun, dun."
And her
That
face,
and
she's like,
w
"Ah."
whenever I watch that and she calls, I laugh
Yes.
because yeah, so true, like
Yeah, you're prepared for the worst, right?
I
Yeah.
l I literally had someone in my phone, the contact name was "do not answer."
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. No, and I mean we've got to give ourselves prompts. We've got to give ourselves these little
Yeah,
tips and tricks to help us, right? And just acknowledge, it's hard being a parent. It's hard having a family. And like unless you've literally walked this walk, right? You have no idea what it's like. You have no idea what the struggles are. And um
right.
there is no normal family. And we have some that kids are on a great path. We have some that kids are, they take a left turn, right? They're
Yeah.
just going down a different path. um but we can't judge one family from another family. It just doesn't work that way. And we're all different, we're all unique, but fundamentally, respect, self-care, boundaries, and communication are like key pillars to healthy relationships inside and outside of our home, right?
I take a lot of my negative energy and I transfer it into creating merchandise of T-shirts that say "Finding Chemo" or "He-Man." Uh,
Yes.
it you gotta find healthy ways to express, uh, the negative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. Right? You have to do that. And yeah, it's
13.99 at Veteran Nation Foundation if you want one of those T-shirts.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No. And so yeah, we've you know what, we've just got to move forward. and support where we can support, be helpful, be gracious, and just realize that we're all human, and
Mhm.
as parents, we've made mistakes, but that's not the end, right? Sometimes we can correct our path fairly quickly. Sometimes it takes us a little while to do that. But
Yeah.
if you've got the support walking beside you, you're not alone. It makes a huge, huge difference.
So I'm gonna put up on screen, again, for people who wanna reach out, right there you go. As I said, it's already been posted in the Veteran Nation group and the ecosystem group. I'm gonna find I might do a Google Drive, or I might find somewhere where I can post all these documents that you sent to me so people can check them out for themselves. Is there
Wonderful.
anything we haven't talked about with Billy that you want, people to know?
Actually, if I could just put out a little call for some resources.
Sure.
Billy is a nonprofit organization. And like I said, our volunteers are parents that kind of gone through the program. And so they're volunteering their time, but we do have some operating costs. And in order to keep the program free for our parents and caregivers to attend, we do accept donations. And currently, now that
He
cures a
says
lot.
donate.
Please
He says
donate.
donate.
Yes.
Donate,
So we do
donate.
take e-transfers at this time. And so if you think the program is worth supporting, right? Or if you're a parent that's gone through Billy and you know how great it is, and you can't provide some time, maybe $5, but you can send an e-transfer to the same email, billytryregion@gmail.com, and that would go a long way on helping keep us afloat. Navigating clear across Canada now, and some of the expenses with social media now. So yeah, that would be amazing if we could have some resources coming that way. That would be terrific.
Excellent, excellent.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
yeah, there's a lot of people out here who I think can benefit. I'm looking at several of you who come into my chat with your trolling. This could help you. For those who watched yesterday. Thank you so much for coming on today. I do appreciate it. I appreciate all the support that you've given me too. It's so nice. There's several of you who just are always here, always commenting and watching, and I'm just so appreciative of you.
Oh, well, you're so welcome, Mike. I enjoy the show. I enjoy what you do. I'm a lurker. I'm not a stalker. I'm a lurker.
Doesn't
so
bother me either way. You're here supporting me.
So yes, no, I mean, I've come across your show, and like I said, I've been following you now for a little over a year, and yeah, I like the people that you interact with, and I think what you do has a purpose, and I'm just so appreciative that you took the time to highlight our group, and have some nice things to say about it, and get it out there for other parents that might be struggling, people that might be struggling. I appreciate you very much.
And I'm gonna add you one thing that I have out there because it was very passive for me, but it was something I started early on. I do have on the channel a thing. It's a Google sheet of resources, so I am gonna put you on my resources because I do know people go in there.
Okay.
And because I've had veterans reach out and they're like, I've already been through your resources and this, and I do update it, but I also don't get a lot of feedback. Like, "Hey, this resource sucks. This resource is good." I
Okay.
just put things out there as I find out about them. So if you guys, I will put Billy in the resources, but also for those of you, if you're watching and you've been in those resources, please give me some feedback. Let me know if those resources are working. Um,
Perfect.
this
Yeah.
one we know will be there and be responsive. So
Yeah.
it's always good to have that type of that type of help.
No, that's really true. That is really good. And for anybody that wanted to follow me on Facebook or YouTube, I'm just starting out with socials, so there's not a ton of things out there, but it's a way to connect with me. If you want information about the program as well, right? Have any questions or
Y
concerns, you can
Do you
reach out
have any
that way.
socials? What socials
Um,
would you want people to reach out to?
I do. I don't know how to link them though. I have so my YouTube page is I am a Billy mom,
Okay. So,
and
mods, if you can help us with that.
then my Facebook is just under my Amanda Wheeler,
Okay. I
and then the Billy page, Billy Tri Region, because I love you, would be its own page. So
Let me see if I can get that one up here. Oh, and there we go. I'm gonna join it and copy link. So there, I got that one. And I don't I don't see any of the mods, so let me get the YouTube link. Sorry guys, producing and doing this at the same time.
we're working on the fly. That's it.
All right, and copy. Oh, there's Bestie with the link. Uh, thank you so much,
Amazing.
Bestie. I appreciate it. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thanks
Let
for
us know if
having me,
there's
Mike.
anything we can anything else we can do to support at all.
Okay.
See, look at that. She says, "Open your eyes, dork." Hey, I was faster than you, Georgie.
That's our girl. That's Georgie.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, definitely, you want to come back on, you know how to get in touch with me. Be like, hey, send me a link, and you can
Sure.
come on, even if it's just to BS or to make fun of me and me trying to write to women in prison and all my.
Those some of those are so hilarious.
I can own my baggage.
Yeah, that's it. All
um,
right, Mike. Well, I do appreciate you taking the time today. Like I said, it's just this has been a big push for Billy, and I so do appreciate you and everything you do.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm actually pulling you up on my phone to make sure I'm in the right account so that I can follow you or subscribe to you on X.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
And for all of the followers, like any of you guys, you want me to follow your stuff, just be like, hey, follow me here, and I will. I've got no problem with it. A subscribe takes like 2 seconds.
It does. It goes a long way though, doesn't it? I think
Y-
it
you
goes a
know,
long
it's
way.
and some people act like it's a big deal, and it's like, no, you just take the second to subscribe. And yeah, you're helping so much.
Yeah, helping people grow. Yeah, that's so
And you
important.
guys have the link. The link is right there in the chat.
Well,
All right. Thank you so
all right.
much. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Well, have a good day, okay?
Oh, I
Thanks,
will.
everybody, for coming in. It was nice meeting everybody.
And that's everyone go check it out. Go to her Facebook, subscribe to the Billy group, go to her YouTube page, subscribe there. I am now subscribed. So we're gonna keep supporting this. And thank you everyone for being here. If you think Billy can help you, reach out. And like I said, if it's a Zoom meeting and you're like, Skipper, I don't want to go by myself, I'll go with you. Um,
Mhm.
you know, take a friend.
Yeah,
If someone can be helped by it, take them to a meeting. Do
yeah,
Be the real friend. Be the one that takes them and lets them know they're not alone.
that's right. That's right. And once we're all a bunch of great people, so once you're in the door, we're too fabulous. You'll just love being there.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday. Really do appreciate it. As always, I will be back tomorrow. Uh, Today, I'm actually going to be on the road. I think I'm going to the very first McDonald's ever
Oh,
to probably film a video. So I might bring you guys along. Uh, it just, if I ever get off my ass and finish editing the videos I've got, uh, but I'll be doing that today. So if you need me, you can always reach out to me. You got the phone number and the email down below. So you can always reach out to me. And as always, thank you for being worth serving.